Yo, it's the boy Don G, and this is the Coliseum Sports Show where I call him as I see him. As you see, I got my glasses on, so we're going to be doing some reading. And this is giving you guys some news coming out of the sports world of today. Some of these have already came out, I think, yesterday, so it's all right. It's just my addition and my thoughts on certain things, and let's just get to it. So what we're first going to talk about is the news in the NFL, because you know that's how we going to make it in today's society as far as this content. You dig what I'm saying? But we have a whole bunch of coaches, either getting fired or leaving, stepping down, or doing what they got to do because time is undefeated. And as you go through these things, man, you got to understand what it takes for these families to, just kind of be sticking by their side. Me being a military brat, my dad doing 20 years in the military, I definitely can understand, the in and outs and the flows of, everything that goes into the family sacrificing everything for, the head of the house's dreams and ambitions of their jobs. But there is a coaching carousel going on, so let's go ahead and get started. So the top of the top, we got to go ahead and give a shout out. I never was a fan of Alabama, except for when they first started winning, because they won in a way that I really found entertaining as far as hand the ball off to the running back. Get you a big ass corn-fed line and get you a good running back and run it. Who the hell is going to stop it in college football? Half the people don't even have defenses, so why not do that? Just get a good defense, get a good O-line, and they don't even have to be the best. It's some big-ass motherfuckers. And run the ball down their throat. Hit them in the mouth over and over and over and over and over again, and eventually they're going to fold. And that goes with being at home. That goes with being away. That goes with being in the playoffs. If everything ain't working, you need to get back on track, run the ball. But they did that, and they did that to the extent where he gave himself enough time to adjust with every era of football that is coming from like an old-fashioned style, then coming to, the running quarterback, then going to an aired-out offense. But Nick Saban, he retires today. Nick Saban is 72 years old. He has 17 seasons at Alabama, where he won 6 titles out of his 7. Now, let's just give a couple, stats of what he did while he was there. He did win 201 games. That's the second most in the SEC behind Bear Bryant. And we all know Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant went from, I think, Alabama to Texas A&M and was just winning things. He had the nice hat on. He was player-made on the sidelines, and he had that image. And he set the foundations for, years to come for these colleges. But he also had 2 years with the Miami Dolphins that wasn't so good. But at the end of the day, he came back to college football after that, by the way. That's when he went to Alabama. I can remember when he went there, too. I was just like, what's so great about this dude? Why everybody talking, good things about him? But as time went by, you clearly saw that what he meant to the college football world, what he meant to building young men, and you see the product that he put out there. A lot of those guys that he got, they were high school athletes, but they were already, by the time they left and went to the league, they were NFL ready, majority of them. And it started with the defense, then the running backs, the line, and he became known for that style of play. But shout out to Nick Saban, man. He did a lot of things, and from my life as I get older, when I tell my kids about great coaches, he will definitely be one of them. So let's go ahead and give a pat on the back. Let's give us a standing ovation, a nice bow, whatever you want to do, a salute to Nick Saban, because he did his thing out there. And you can't tell the story of college football without Nick Saban. And that's the way you want to move anything in your profession. You don't want to be able to tell that profession without saying your name in it. And he definitely left his mark. And so, congratulations, Nick Saban. On to the next. And who knows, you might be a great analysis. You might do a lot of commercials. I'm pretty sure we'll still see him around. But all that, he's 72 years old. It's time to go ahead and hey man, let me go and spend my glory years with my family and raise these grandchildren and let them get to know another side of me besides being this guy who patrols the sidelines. There's more to me than that. And remember, man, I was an athlete, man. I played college football, I put my all into it. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself until I started playing sports, and I found out how good I was in football, and I dedicated my life to it. And so once football was over, it took me a while to figure out what else I was good at, what I really wanted, who I really was. And so for him to take that step is a huge step, especially after being around the sport for so long. He's 72 years old, probably been there for 40 years plus. So give it up to him. All right, so let's move on to the next couple of coaches. And we're gonna go ahead and speed through this because I don't want to be too long. I want you guys to see the time and be like, okay, I can watch that. Even though if you don't know me, you give me a chance, you know what I'm saying? So also Pete Carroll was fired today. I think that was more of a mutual stepping down because Pete Carroll, he spent 14 seasons in Seattle. He had 10 playoff appearances. That is crazy insane. He has a great record there. And he has one NFL championship. Could have had more. We all know about Russell Wilson and throwing on the goal line when they could have just ran it with beast mode. I think that was very political. Majority of the people who are on that team will tell you that. And they were upset with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson since that game. But they could have had more, if not made a complete dynasty out of that team. I thought he had more, but one NFL championship, all right? So shout out to Pete Carroll. They said that he is rumored to still be around the organization, but I think with Pete Carroll, I don't know how old he is. I should have looked that up. But Pete Carroll was still running around, still slinging the ball, still being very involved. He's one of the most involved head coaches there is. He's definitely a player's coach. And to be as old as he is, cause I know he old. he was getting taught by Bill Walsh. So whenever you see Pete Carroll, you see Bill Walsh, you see USC, all of that great stuff. And Pete Carroll definitely brought it to the NFL. So congratulations to Pete Carroll. If this is the last of you that we see as a head coach, you can't spell Seattle football without Pete Carroll. You can't spell great defense, and he changed the game as far as defense, the way that they play now, Pete Carroll, and the different offensive or defensive coordinators that he had. Namely, me being a Dallas Cowboy fan, I know about Dan Quinn creating the Legion of Boom. It's freaking crazy, those 6-foot cornerbacks. You didn't even hear about that. When I was coming up, a corner was known as a short guy, or he didn't have to be the biggest guy. It was all about the hips and change of direction and being twitchy. But now you have Richard Shermans of the world that will run with the wide receiver and tip the ball up, use his length. It's more about that than speed and twitchiness. It's being smart as well. So, yeah, man, he changed the game. The Cam Chancellors and the Bobby Wagners and Cam being a crazy. I mean, that was they had big safeties before him, but he definitely helped revitalize the big safety, in my opinion. They could come down and be the tone setter, jump over the line, hit, bat down the kicks. You know what I'm saying, the field goal kicks. Pete Carroll had a lot to do with that. The next coach that we have rumors about is Coach Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's rumored to take a year off. Now, there's been rumors all year that they could potentially fire him. I don't believe that they would, just because of the impact that he has not only with that organization, but the relationship he has to the owner, to Rooney, and just that organization. They've only had, if I'm not mistaken, a handful of coaches, if that. I think 3 to 4 coaches, maybe 5 coaches they've had all time, and that's a long time. So I don't think they were going to fire him. But as I said, man, sometimes all this drama, it kind of gets to you. And there is something to say, and I'm going to keep repeating this. If you've been watching what I put out, defensive head coaches have a hard time in the NFL if they don't already have a quarterback. Look at the head coach. I forgot his name. I'm gonna forget his name. He's considered like the best coach ever for the New England Patriots. But with Tom Brady, he was one thing. Without Tom Brady, he was not that. He had a good enough quarterback to start off with, and then he had a hellacious defense. And then as time went on, Tom Brady was amazing. He developed into a great quarterback. But that had nothing to do, in my opinion, with the head coach. And I can't believe I can't forget it. I can't remember his name right now. But without Tom Brady, he is not that good of a coach. If not a losing head coach. I think the first season with what is his name? He was a starting quarterback for New England at the beginning of this year. But Mac Jones. He was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season, but as the season went on, the seasons went at the beginning of the season, as his rookie season. Then after that, they fell off, and it just haven't been the same since. He has not had nowhere near the same success that he had with Tom Brady. So defensive head coaches, man, if you don't already have a great quarterback, it's going to be hard for you. Same thing with Mike Tomlin. He had Ben Roethlisberger. He inherited a great team. Of course, he's a great coach. And the way people speak of him, I would want to play for him. Not only because he looks like me, but he's a player's coach, and he knows what he's talking about. Mike Tomlin, he's well-spoken. He's a leader of men. And there's nothing greater than to have confidence and to have certain things implemented into you when you go into battle. It exudes confidence, not only from him, but into you, and then it breathes out into whatever you're doing. So shout out to Mike Tomlin. If you're taking a year off, or if you're going to get fired, or if you're going to move on, whoever gets you is going to love you. We already know you're going to get picked up immediately, probably that same day or the next day, maybe that first week. Mike Tomlin's going to get a job. He's one of those guys. The next couple coaches, I believe, deserve to be fired because, man, was this sad. So Arthur Smith, he was fired from Atlanta after 3 seasons. His latest season, this season, he went 7-10. If you ever watched the Atlanta Falcons, if you ever see me cover Atlanta Falcons, they are just horrendous to watch. I can't stand watching them. It's boring, man. It's a snooze fest, man. Like, goodness gracious. And over his 3 seasons, he's never won more than 2 games back to back. So it's 2 games in a row. He's never won more than that. So he never went on a streak. And he's had multiple 3-game losing streaks. So I don't like him. I've never liked Atlanta. This is pitiful, man. And he has had 4 different quarterbacks. Does it have something to do with it? A little bit, but you did have Matt Ryan. But his family, I believe, is the owner of FedEx or the founder of FedEx, and he wants to go a different route. He is a football mind. But, man, Atlanta could have been way better, man. You flipped around too much. I believe you moved around and shuffled quarterbacks way too much when you should have just sat there and let certain people develop and, believe in your scheme. I never had belief in anything they were doing. So Arthur Smith is out of Atlanta after 3 seasons, latest season being 7-10. That is terrible. I don't think he's ever made the playoffs either. The last coach we're going to talk about is Eberflus. The Bears decide to keep Eberflus. I believe he should have got fired. You know what I'm saying? He had 2 seasons. And within those 2 seasons, he went 10-24. He is a defensive coach. He spent 13 seasons in the NFL as a defensive assistant coach before he got this job. He is not in position to make sure that Justin Fields soars or he elevates. He can't elevate him. He's not an offensive mind. And even it was hard for Fields to hold back on what the coaches were doing. It seemed like they were all over the place. So they keep Eberflus, but they fire the offensive coordinator, which I believe, y'all don't know what y'all doing. I don't think you know what's going to work, what's not going to work for this quarterback. You can't develop him. Your offense looks lethargic. And it was just pitiful for multiple analysts to come on here after not seeing anything that would point to what they said and give him like preseason MVP. Shout out to Justin Fields. I seen you in college. I seen you bounce around as well. I don't think many things have stuck, and a lot of people cannot or are not in position to develop you. I do think you have talent out of this world. I watched you play, and a lot of the times everything is on you. I think you lead your team in rushing. You can also pass the ball. So they're trying to stack weapons around you. But yeah, Eberflus should have got fired. He should have been the next dude out the door. So it's just crazy that they kept him, man. I can't believe that. And that's all we're going to speak on as far as the coaching carousel. Bill Belichick, that's who I meant. Bill Belichick earlier. Bill Belichick is rumored to be fired. I would move on as well because of the things I just said. He's a defensive-minded coach. He does not know how to put together a good offense. His defense has remained pretty even kill, you know what I'm saying? They're still a decent defense, but offensively you can't do it, bro. You You're just not an offensive mind. You need a great mind in order to take it to the next level, and you don't have those guys in place right now. Most of them have moved on and went to other places and sought out other opportunities, and that helped to kind of expose Bill Belichick. So I think this is the last season for Bill Belichick. I think they're trying to work something out, but in my opinion, if I was Robert Kraft, I would go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead. You can't do no worse. I don't think they were that good in this year or the last 2 years, and really got lucky. The first year, Tom Brady was gone, but it's proven that it was Tom Brady, bro. Let's just keep it real. It was Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? Majority of those Super Bowls that you guys won together, it was not you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and move on. That's the end of the NFL news. We're going to give you a couple NBA news that's been around lately. And that's going to be it for us for today. So we're going to start with Ja Morant. Ja Morant came out, I believe, yesterday. And it was reported that he is going to have season-ending surgery for a torn labrum. This is important because the Grizzlies are built around Ja Morant. And in years past, they were able to maybe keep it afloat, but they can't excel without Ja Morant. It's a lot like the Bulls. The Bulls were built around the Ball brother. I'm a big fan of him. I've seen him at his best and everything. I can't believe I can't remember his name. What's going on, man? I got a brain fart or something like that. But some L Ball is one of the Ball brothers. But anyway, the Bulls were built around him, and when he was there, they were the number one in the East. Don't get anything twisted. That team was built around him, and he was able. His skill is distributing the ball and hitting that 3-ball. And so they were the best team in the East, above Milwaukee, above the 76ers, above the Heat. They were smacking boys. Like, they was Lob City with the 3, you know what I'm saying, with the crazy assist, you know what I'm saying. So when he comes back, you might see a different Bulls team if they still have the same players, because a lot of people are rumored to leave the Bulls. But anyway, back to Ja Morant. The reason why this is important is because he missed the first 25 games. And due to suspension, you already know about it. They don't like the way he acts. They don't want him to have a gun, even though he's never hurt nobody. He might have gotten into a fight because he's so young, but they do not want him to have no thuggery going on in that organization or, in the NBA, period. But he's such a important athlete, and a lot of people watch the NBA because of him. Matter of fact, he is one of my favorite players as well. And it's a bummer that, we ain't gonna see him. It's real messed up because because during those first 25 games he was suspended, the Memphis Grizzlies went 6-19 without him. So they can pretty much hang up their playoff hopes until next season when he comes back. But man, I'm so tired of seeing these great players get injured. I remember when I first saw Derrick Rose play. Finally, I started watching him, and cause I'm not a big NBA fan, but whenever it gets towards the playoffs, I come alive and I watch. Derrick Rose is the most explosive player that I think I've ever seen. As far as I remember when the first game I saw him, they were down by like 15 points. And he was like, fuck it. Give me the ball. I'm gonna take over. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I gotta do to win this ball game. And he was just dashing up the court. Dunking on boys, hitting the 3. You know what I'm saying? Doing everything that he could do to put his team back in position, and they won that game. And it was a very good game. It's one of the best games I ever watched. I think a single person, like live, I've watched the whole game. I watched the game, you know what I'm saying, in person. I was like, dang, Derrick Rose is everything that he was cracked up to be. Because when you hear a lot of these players, then you finally watch them, you're like, I don't understand why y'all like him like that. Like Carmelo, it took me a while to kind of really understand why people like him. And the way he takes over, and he's like a ball hog, but it's a beautiful thing because he was making so much, and you could put the whole team on this one player's back, and you could win a game, you know what I'm saying? But you can only get so far with that. But Derrick Rose is everything as advertised. Ja Morant is everything as advertised. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a sad day that Ja Morant's gonna miss this season. Hopefully Zion stays healthy and doesn't get hurt, and he can be the exciting thing that we're watching. I believe the Pelicans are doing well as well. The last thing we're going to talk about is Tyrese Halliburton. He has a grade 1 hamstring, strain. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but you know, with those hamstrings and playing an explosive sport like basketball, you don't really want to play with that too much. And they're not the toughest guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's call it how it is. They ain't the toughest guys, but they are professionals. So when the team kind of revolves around you and you are that important of a player, remember Indiana, they went to the finals in the in-season tournament, and I think this is a turning point for that team because Halliburton has turned it on. He's got it in his mind, and I think he's turning the corner as being that all-star point guard. So Tyrese Halliburton, leading up to this injury, he was 6th in fantasy when it comes to his points. He also had a league-leading 12.9 assists per game. So his team is going to miss him greatly because the way he was able to distribute the ball and score the ball. I can remember him with his skinny legs, you know what I'm saying, doing a little step back and hitting trays like that too. So he's very important to his team, and he will be missed. I think they are a good enough team to continue to win, but not at the clip that they were winning without him. And that's going to wrap up the daily news of what's going on in the sports world. Please, if you watch this whole video, or if you just scroll through, it don't matter. But if you watch it, thank you so much. Please share, like it, comment. Who's your team in the NBA? Who's your team in the NFL? What do you think about these coaches changing? Do you see them going to other organizations? Let me know. And with that, this is the Coliseum Sports Show, your boy Don G. And I'm going to call it as I see. You dig me? All right, y'all.